Hey Don, if you hear me, we've got about 10 minutes left until showtime. No, you're good. You're good. I figured that's what you were doing. I got six people. We got six people waiting right now. That's cool, man. It's always great when I see people waiting. Oh yeah, dude. That's exactly what you need to do. What's what's this? That's weird. Anyways. Yeah. No. I'll have I watched damn it, I'm blanking on his name right now. He did an interview with Chris Van Vliet, second half of Santana. That's it. Thank you. Santana. And basically he was just like, so like, so you're not part of AEW anymore? And Santana was like, I mean, no. I just needed to take a break. Stuff wasn't going the right way. So hey, look, I don't want to have any speculation. I love the fact that WWE has competition, but like Tony Khan's really got to start seeing the writing on the wall at some point here. And there's, of course, as we get into WrestleMania, there's all the speculation about, who might show up randomly. We don't know about MJF. MJF's not even on AEW's active roster right now. Like, I know he had the big injury and the surgery and everything, but like, I think it's right about around here where they were like, he should be okay to kind of do stuff. So, hey, do me a favor real quick. Take your pop mask that's right there, push it away or something like that, because it's blocking your face. I don't want people to see your pretty face. There you go. That's better. There we go. That's better. So everybody can see your pretty face. I was like, wait a minute. I need to say something. Oh, that's great. No, no, man. We want to see that pretty smile. We want to see that pretty face. Everybody needs to see Don Miguel, see Don commentary. Yeah. Yeah, I wanted while you're saying that too, is I got my Georgia State diploma the other day. It finally came in the mail. Yeah. I was so man, this thing. No, I graduated state back in December. I never talked to you about that. That I was going to Georgia State as well too. Wow. Okay. Yeah, they give you this is the big old bachelor's degree diploma, which for whatever reason that's blurring that out. But I walked in and like they had all those guys that are trying to take your photo and everything, and they're the biggest like on the street trying to throw you their CD to listen to kind of salespeople. Hey, you want to come over here and take a picture? Come on, you want to take a picture, right? To commemorate this. Well, first of all, I'm a photographer of my own, and I can take a way better photo than you jokers ever could. They sent, I swear to God, when they took my graduation photo and they sent that to me going, hey, remember the moment? Here are these awesome graduation photos. And I looked at these things and I was like, this is the ugliest and crappiest lighting I've ever seen on a photo ever. They're terrible. They're awful, awful, awful. I looked so exhausted in that graduation photo they took of me. I was like, I don't want people to ever see me like this ever. I'll say this. I'll say this for my ceremony and everything. Everyone had there were like guys that had title belts. You had guys and gals who decorated their caps. They let you do pretty much everything. And when you walk in, the way that they have the seating is to how quickly you want to go up on the stage, grab your diploma, and leave. So like it was so. If I remember correctly, it's when you walk in and you're looking at the stage, if you sit in the front row on the right side, that that row goes up first, so you can get it done quickly. But like, because some people had like really big families, they hadn't shown up yet and whatnot. Like people were shuffling seats and like trying to get. It's it is walk up that ramp, here's your diploma, and they might as well have just grabbed you and thrown you off the stage. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. It is 5:58. I'm going to go ahead and get this started. I'm going to do quick little introduction first, and then I'll jump over to you and me, and I'll let you introduce yourself and everything. So here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the podcast. It is me, Dakota, here for Ginger Pro Talk again. We have another amazing episode lined up, and we've got another amazing guest today. I just want to go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsor today, which is W Energy. You can go to the website w.gg and use the code DWA for life. That's the letter DWA, the number 4, and then life, LYFE exclamation point. And you can use that code at checkout for 10% off. I strongly recommend W. I've used it quite a bit. I even have a tub coming in the mail of the Dragonade flavor, which is my favorite right now. And it is a jitterless, basically non-shake kind of blend. It's all natural ingredients, and it keeps you wired and focused without feeling like you're about to have a heart attack anytime soon. So make sure that you head over there and use that code today. Today, as you can see with the poster that's right next to me, in May, we're going to have Suplex de Mayo, which is our next event that'll be here on the page at kick.com/Action Show Studios. We cannot wait to see you and probably some of the stuff that we talk about is probably going to affect how that event is even going to happen in the first place. But I know why most of you have probably tuned in right now, and that's because it's probably for my special guest today. So let's go ahead and jump over there right now. I know he's generally jittery and can't wait. I can see him on my little webcam thing. So let's jump over there right now and talk with him. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give him the introduction that he deserves. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Don of Commentary, the one, the only Don Miguel. Don, how are you doing today, brother? Yeah, man. I have been wanting to talk to Don for quite a while. I can always hear him in my ear. I love the way that he commentates for every WrestleMania match. But for everyone that is watching right now, Don, why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, and just let everyone know how you even got into being a commentator in the first place. And I'll go ahead and hit you with a question too. What even got you into wrestling in the first place? Yeah, I remember Don because he was there for the first Brawl at the Hall, which was a crazy event, and slowly but surely, and even seeing you guys off to the corner of my eye, I couldn't hear you, but I could see off the corner of my eye how you guys are going wild over there and being your usual self. I was like, yeah, we need to get those guys. People need to be able to hear them on stream. We got to get them over here for that exact measure. Uh, Don did kind of hit you with this, and we did kind of talk about it, but this is the fallout episode of what just happened this past Sunday with Match Madness, and we have a lot to talk about. Holy mess. But I think the first thing that I want to talk about today, and I'll go ahead and play that right here real quick, is earlier on the day, before we even started anything, any matches or anything whatsoever, Don had the chance to talk with the current WWA4 champion Keelan Cole and discuss with him about his next match that's coming up at Suplex de Mayo versus Neji Ichiban for the WWA4 champion. And well, something happened, and I'm going to let you guys watch and interpret it as you will. I will give you a fair warning. There is something that's going to happen that is very negligent on our part, and we apologize for it. But let me go ahead and just show that right now. Okay. It should be jumping back to us here in 1 second. So, as you guys just all watched there, as Don Miguel was talking with the current WWA 4 champion, Keelan Cole, he was attacked. And later on, after investigating things and seeing what had happened, we identified the attacker as Blackjack Mac. He has not said anything about why he did such a heinous attack on Keelan Cole. Don, I know you were asked this even on the stream itself, but how are you feeling about this, and how do you interpret this? And we have seen that with Keelan Cole. You're right. It is a very prestigious title. I mean, he even put it on the line at our one of last two events here, Wild Nights against Nathan Mowry, the Kill Billy. They went into a hardcore match where Keelan had chairs thrown at him. He's jumping off of a crow's nest practically inside the restaurant. I mean, Keelan Cole is, no stranger to pain and people trying to cause him pain. And just like you were saying, it's good that he's doing okay from the last time we checked and talking with DWA Commissioner Kevin Kirkland. But yeah, it is a very heinous attack. And you were talking to your friend, and yeah, I understand about the whole thing of running away, but sometimes you got to run away to survive the next day, and you shouldn't feel bad about that at all. I mean, let me ask this question then, as far as going into, Suplex de Mayo. What is, how does this affect this title picture? Like, does this mean that Blackjack Mac has moved to the front of the line? Does Neji still get the shot at the WWA 4 championship? What do you feel like is going to happen now after such a heinous attack? Or what would you want to see? Yeah, it's like they say, heavy lies the crown, right? If you take that belt, you understand that you've got everybody on you, and they're ready to take any advantage they can against you. So as we rolled into with that craziness, and that already starting off as craziness, as we go into this event, we get into the actual event itself, and we start off into our battle royale, which we normally do for most of these events. And everything was going well, everything was going smooth. And then, and let's flip over here so that way everybody can see this while we could still talk about it. All of a sudden, a certain little somebody decided to show up and talk about his little cousin and this new cash in the contract as Chainmail introduced his little cousin. Let me reiterate, his little 7 foot tall, probably well over 250 pounds, could probably eat 10 of me in a week, no problem. Cousin Chosen. So, Don, how did you feel seeing this happen towards the latter half of the battle royal? And I mean, speaking on that too, you're talking about Eddie Hendricks. Yet King Cole was in there. You had one half of the Grapplers, who is a really well-known tag team in the NWA scene. I mean, you have a lot of talent that was inside of that ring there tonight. And I was talking with Chainmail about it last week on the podcast here, trying to figure out what he's doing with this whole Apex thing. And I kept prying and prying at him, wondering what did he have in his back pocket for this. And to see this weapon come out towards the latter half and basically give such an unfair advantage. I'll say it. I'll shoot for it. It's a hot take. I don't care. It gave a complete unfair advantage to everyone else. So so one of the things about this show and everything that I love about it is not only do I get the chance to talk with amazing guests, but we also have the chat that can always drop a question as well. And we do have one from Oliver Winch Furness. Have you guys ever had any wardrobe malfunctions live on the wrestling side of things? This is going to be more directed towards Don because Don has commentated more. So Don, have you ever seen any crazy wardrobe malfunctions? Yes, it was. That was crazy. No, that was Parker Lee and Grayson Pierce had a turnbuckle pop out midway through the match. Yeah, I know you always want to see an A4 guy holding the title belt. And backstage, Billy and chat brought up a good point. Crazy Azul during the Battle Royal, I remember this too. He lost his wig during the match, which was crazy because he's trying to scramble to get it and everything. Uh, yeah, as far as wardrobe malfunctions, I have not seen any yet inside of the ring, except for crazy moments of like a turnbuckle popping out during a main event. Uh, I will say, if any of you guys take a chance, you should definitely go watch the clip of, I believe it was Batista talking about the laces on his shoe popped out, and he had to quickly fix it before his match at WrestleMania, and he was like running down to a seamstress and everything. If you guys have not had a moment, go check that out. But Don, going back to let's get back into talking about Match Madness more. So we have our battle royal. We have the craziness that happens with Chosen. Chosen wins his cash-in contract. We go into the next match, and one of the people in this match we know of who's going to be in the title match for Suplex de Mayo, Neji Ichiban takes on the true athlete Troy Carter. So how did you feel about that match? How does, with Neji winning this match and going on into Suplex de Mayo, what do you think his headspace is from seeing not only Keelan Cole get attacked and maybe possibly, like you said, maybe having to deal with a triple threat match going into Suplex de Mayo? I want to get your thoughts on that. And I hope, I hope we do get that triple threat, because if we do get that triple threat, we're going to see, a lot of these guys who are vying for this. I think it adds a lot of, when you have so many people that are hungry for this title, they cannot wait to have this title on their shoulder. And you even have a champion who's going to have to deal with that adversity of having to defend his title, not against one opponent, now against two opponents at the same time. And as always with triple threat rules, he doesn't have to be pinned in the ring to lose his title. As a champion, what do you think Keelan Cole's headspace needs to be going into a match like that if it happens? Yeah, I can see that. Trying to take an opportunity, get a quick win, get something to where he can easily get one over on the other guys and walk away with his A4 championship. I completely agree with that assessment. I really do. Um, Going into, so Neji won, he beats Troy Carter. We go into our next match, which is the tag match. We had the Faithful Bravado with Randy Reno and Alexander Lev. Alexander Lev, if you have not taken a chance, he is on NWA right now, which you can watch live for free on the CW app. Make sure that you guys check that out. I know I probably watched a ton of episodes because my main guy EC3 is on there right now. He's still holding that NWA championship. And so the Faithful Bravado took on the Exotic Youth, and wow, what a tag team match. Both these teams really brought it to each other. They really had their moments. And just to kind of show a little funny moment right here is a little bit of a stunner party happened there towards the end there. So how did you feel about this match, Don? What do you think should happen next? What do you think that do you want to see Exotic Youth back again here at DWA? What about the Faithful Bravado? Just kind of give your thoughts about this match as a whole. Yeah, I mean, we we did. We had Exotic Youth give the stunner to both of Faithful Bravado, and then at the end of it, yeah, you pick on a ref, and they got a stunner for you too, which you can see in the clip right here as well. It was stunners all around. It wasn't a super kick party. It was a stunner party, and you always got to love that. Going into let's really talk. I really wanted to talk about this match a lot. Going into match 4, we had Rico Gonzalez versus Dominic Stuckey. Rico, as we all know, held not only the WWA 4 Championship, he also held the WWA 4 Internet Championship on both shoulders. He went into Brawl at the Hall too. He lost both of them, unfortunately. We didn't know what was going to happen. Were we going to see him again in DWA? He showed up to take on Dominic Stuckey, and well, Don, how did you feel about it, and how did you feel about that win for Stuckey in the end? I I guess let me ask this too. I mean, it was her shoe that he was caught with. Does Rico kind of take that to heart a little bit, and does that affect that relationship between him and Ayla going forward? The fact that because it was her shoe that he was caught with, does he feel like she's the best to manage him right now? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I mean, it was kind of rough there. So, you know, just to kind of break things up a little bit. Yeah, I hope that doesn't affect. I understand a lot of times when stuff happens, especially when you get caught in a situation like that, that can affect a relationship. Maybe this is just a one-off thing. You never know. Rico does another match with her in his corner, and everything's hunky dory. I hope that that's exactly what happens. But it's just those little seeds that start getting planted. I hope this is going to continue to keep going every single time. Uh, we had two questions. So I was trying to break this up as much as humanly possible. Really, always loved him. He wanted to ask, other than me, obviously, who is your favorite person to call matches with? Yeah, I mean Fox really does. Like he brings that energy every single time when he gets behind the mic, and I can definitely see how you guys play off each other the entire time. I love it when Fox gets loud too. It's great when he's just so into it. He's just like, "Oh my god!" Yeah, Brawl at the Hall too. I mean, it gets loud in Believe Music Hall, but the fact that it's so loud and I can still hear him, and he was sitting behind us in the commentator booth. The fact that I could still hear him over all the noise, over everything, was just making me laugh the entire time. It's so enjoyable. We got another question here from somebody watching. Let me make sure I got that right. Mama Snugs asked, "Will you ever get in the ring? Will you ever step in between the ropes and have a match of your own?" I mean, I would always be happy to see you in the ring. I know you would probably bring the same charisma as you do behind the booth. in the ring itself too. And yeah, it's crazy. I was talking with Kevin Kirkland. It was the first episode, and we were talking about the whole idea of like, how do you even get into professional wrestling? If you wanted to learn how to be a professional wrestler and step in the ring, he basically was saying the same thing of like, these guys, they'll show up, they'll come take a class, which is what you need to do. You need to sign up for wrestling school in the first place. You'll show up, you'll take a class. Most of these guys will take their first bump or they'll take their first chop, and then all of a sudden they're just like, you know what, and actually I'll just ref or I'll just be a commentator. I I've always wanted to. I need to at some point. And if you guys have not, at some point, if you want to get a chance to come take your first bump or learn how this whole thing works as far as professional wrestlers, how they get trained in the first place, you should definitely check out WWA4 ATL.com. They have a bunch of different classes that you can choose, but you can take basically a quick beginner's course like class where you get the basics down, you kind of learn, and you see whether or not you even like it in the first place. Because as I talked about with Kevin before, it's as much as people want to call it fake. I can explain to you right now. The only thing that is in that ring is tarp and then hardwood underneath that tarp. There might be some padding, maybe, depending on who it is that's built the ring or not. It is not easy to get into. It really is. And as we go into, we're going to go back into, we had an awesome intermission. By the way, too, whenever we do these events, it's always fun because we'll always have awesome musical performers. We had Patrick Zay show up. He did a great performance. I was enjoying it. I was dancing back there the whole time. And as we came back from intermission, we went right into a mixed tag match. We had Jose Manuel and Nikki Heat with chainmail. Basically, Nikki Heat and Jose Manuel, a part of Chainmail's new faction, the Apex, showing up with taking on Jack Jameson and Angelica Risk, who represent BGU. What a crazy match! And yeah, Don, I mean, seeing what they bring to the table, how did you feel about this? What kind of risk do you see Apex causing in DWA, let alone in the indie pro wrestling scene? Yeah, I mean, Chainmail's got Quattro who's calling him out for a match. I had a chance to talk with Chainmail last week. Well, I guess you call it talking. It was mainly just him chatting and me just sitting there while I let him run his mouth. But, you know, he even Chainmail's even gone out and called out Nathan Mowry, the Killbilly, wanting a match with him too. And I mean, it's absolutely insane. I guess now that he has this whole faction of his, he really feels like he can take on the entire world. I've got to ask this, as if any of those matches do happen with him and Quattro or him and Nathan Mowry, how would you feel about those matches, and what kind of matches would you want those to be? Do you think it's going to be a normal match, or knowing Nathan Mowry, I probably already know the answer you're about to say. No, you're okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, come on, man. Be a good guy. Watch your freaking language. God. Yeah, if he takes out Nathan Mowry, I'm sure we'll have a pine box waiting on the side for him. If he takes on Quattro, I'm sure there'll be shenanigans like he said. And it was a crazy match. It was a crazy mixed tag match. And as we get out of that, I mean, it doesn't stop. The energy doesn't stop the entire time. As we go from a mixed tag match where we're seeing two groups start to clash together, we get into our second match, second to last match of the night, where we have Spectre versus Stunt Marshall. Now, Spectre has been out for a while, and it's good to see him back in the ring. I'm glad that he had the recovery that he did. I know surgery is tough. I've broken my pinky and broken more ligaments. I understand that recovery process is tough, but for this match against Stunt Marshall, man, it really felt like he had a lot of hate brewing. And I just want to get your thoughts on that as well, too, as far as what do you expect is going to happen now with Spectre? I don't want to spoil as we talk about the main event, but yeah, how do you feel about Spectre's return so far? And that my bad on my part right now is I'm sorry, I forgot to talk about what actually was the second to last match, which was a huge match in which we had the WWA4 Internet Championship on the line. Uh, we had the defending champion Jay Tyler take on A Town Supreme and Mr. Danger. Mr. Danger, who I believe that was a DWA debut for him as well too. We've seen Jay Tyler before, we've seen A Town Supreme before, but man, these three guys in the ring and what Mr. Danger brought to it, I didn't know where to watch. There was so much going on at any time. And yeah, Don, how did you feel about it? Yeah, it's like you said, he cashed in his briefcase, and for the match they cashed in his briefcase at Brawl Hall, it was him and like, four or five other guys in the ring at the same time, all of that same, main event caliber. And the fact that he was able to get in there, take advantage of the situation, get the belt. He tried to go for the WWE 4 championship. I would have loved to have seen him with both title belts. It just wasn't the case that night, and Keelan Cole taking that chance and getting that W as well. You know, you always want to see people succeed. You always want to see people do the best they possibly can in this business and hold all the gold. My thing too is, you know, speaking on that and speaking on the fact that Jay Tyler didn't get that chance at getting the WWE 4 belt. And if Keelan gets through any possible match that's going to happen next, whether it be with just Neji Ichiban or Blackjack Mac, do you think that there's a possible outcome of Jay Tyler maybe wanting that belt and possibly getting the second belt that he missed out on that match, that match from Brawl at the Hall 2? Do you see something like that happening? Yeah, you do see it in the business a lot. A lot of guys have gone for having all the belts, and you do have that right now. Even currently with Roman Reigns, a lot of people are stating in the wrestling community they're kind of getting tired of him always beating these guys and kind of just walking away with the belt. And with Triple H being in charge, which we all know he's in charge, he's running everything as far as WWE is concerned. You know, does that change as we go into WrestleMania? We have no idea what's going on. Before we'll talk about WrestleMania, which will be happening this weekend. I want to talk about the last match at Match Madness, which was crazy beyond all means and a lot going on in that. We'll try to break this down as much humanly possible. But uh, Grayson Pierce at Wild Knights got his chance at getting a shot at the belt from the number one contenders match, and he took on Parker Lee from BGU and the DWA Heavyweight Championship match. This match had a lot going on, so let's just talk about the match itself, and then we'll start talking about everything after that's happened because there's a lot of craziness as well too. How did you feel about that match? And what do you think Grayson Pierce needs to focus on after that type of match? What does Parker Lee need to be focused on after having that type of match? Do you Gosh, I hate putting you on the spot, but I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit. With Grayson Pierce, if you could have that heart to heart with him and tell him what it is that he's missing currently right now to get him to that point of having a championship belt, what would you say to him? I mean, we did see kind of a moment where it felt like he was dipping into the dark side a little bit, especially when we had that snafu of the turnbuckle falling off during the match, and Grayson grabbed it, and it looked like he was going to use it as a weapon against Parker Lee. And depending on who you are, you take that as you want. That possibly happening where Grayson might eventually drop into the dark side and maybe start using some tactics. And let me ask this, with the Apex being formed, could you possibly see Grayson Pierce asking them for help? Yeah, and as we get into the latter half of the match and talking about the latter half of the match, Parker Lee pulls out the win. He's still holding the DWA Heavyweight Championship. And then a certain somebody who we saw earlier in the night decided to make his presence known and basically attack Mr. Parker Lee, and that was Spectre. I was blown away by that. I was, completely shocked. I knew that he was coming back with a lot of hate in his heart and, feeling like he was being left out from the fact that he had that major injury. How did you feel about this attack? Do you think that this was the right thing for Spectre to do to get a title shot like that? Yeah, we don't know quite yet if that, with such yet again another heinous attack, a lot of people just emanating what they want. You see a lot of hunger in that. I understand for a lot of people they see that as violence. To me, I see that as hunger, and they're doing, yeah, some would call it underhanded tactics, some would say blindsided moves. But in the end, when you have that hunger and you want something so badly, we've seen it so many times in wrestling where people will do whatever it takes to, get a shot at something like that. Championship belts have a lot of weight to them. There's a reason that a lot of blood, sweat, and tears have gone against them. And I'll say his name because I do want to see him back again. I want to see Rhino back. I want to see the Ultraviolet Championship get defended on there. And man, it's crazy because we have not seen Rhino since the Christmas show, and we do want to see him back. But even more than that, I wanted to ask this because I asked Chainmail this too and kind of got a little bit of a runaround answer for it. But Chip Schuyler, we've not seen Chip in a while. We've not heard from Chip in a while. What if Chip Schuyler was to come back at any point here soon? What do you expect his focus is going to be? Do you think he's going to come back and immediately want a shot at the Ultraviolet Championship? Or does he decide to do what he's always done to get into Parker Lee's, and get Parker Lee's championship belt? What would you expect from seeing someone like Chip Schuyler come back into the fold? Yeah, I mean, we definitely see that. I mean, it was crazy at the Christmas show. I mean, he gored him, and all of a sudden, we don't see Chip for since the Christmas show. The other thing too is talking about that main event match with Grayson and Parker at the end. Spectre attacks, and then you had Chainmail run out, and Chainmail gets chased down by BGU. And I gotta ask this too: is do you think that Chainmail might have possibly irked and gotten the Spectre's ear to do what he did on behalf of the Apex? Or do you feel like that's just a one-off thing that we saw? Yeah, we we have so much going on going into Suplex in Mile. I mean, so many things in the air, and seeing that collide into another event that we're only it's crazy to me. We get done with one event, and then I have to think about the fact that in 30 something odd days, we're going to be right back at it, and we're going to see all of this collide together and see what happens. We don't know who's going to say what over these next couple weeks. I will say for anyone watching, if you haven't had a chance, make sure that you follow us on all our social media, where we will keep you up to date on any match cards, any changes, any news updates, and even promo videos from any of these guys if they decide to talk about their matches. Man, that was a lot to talk about. But for this last little bit, I figured we're going to have a little bit of a quick fire round because, as we talked about even before the show, I completely forgot that WrestleMania is this weekend. Holy mess. I cannot believe I forgot about WrestleMania happening this weekend. So let's have a little fun moment as we do this for the wrap up with our guest today. Don, I'm going to list off each and every one of the matches happening for night one and night two, and you give me your answer and then give me a 10-second response to why they should win that match. You ready? All right, let's start off with the first match. The first match for night one is Roman Reigns and The Rock versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Go. All right, next we're gonna have Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee from formerly he was in NXT, came up to the main card not too long ago, versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. Yeah, he's already in the Hall of Fame, so we don't know how much longer we're going to see Rey Mysterio for. Next match after that is going to be for the women's world heavyweight title match: Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. Yeah, you always got to go for mommy, right? Mommy's always on top. Yeah, I would not be upset about that either. All right, next WWE Intercontinental Title match: Gunther, who's the current champion, versus Sami Zayn. Yeah, yeah. I always feel like Chad Gable kind of gets the short end of the stick, and I'm hoping that's going to change soon, especially as we're in a Triple H train. I know Triple H is always working. We're starting to see that happen more. But all right, next, the undisputed tag team title 6-pack ladder match of the current champions, Finn Balor and Damian Priest versus DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa versus Awesome Truth, The Miz and R-Truth versus The New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods versus Austin Theory and Grayson Waller versus Pete Dunne and Tyler Bates. Wow, that's a lot. But yes, what do you think? Yeah, that would be nice. That would be very very nice to have the tag titles, and I would really like it if they just get back to the gold tag titles. But that's my hot take on that. Yeah, we've seen DIY team together. We've seen what they've done in NXT. It is crazy what they did in NXT. I would like to see that again in the main card. Okay, going next, we're having a brother versus brother match. Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. The Yeets versus the No Yeets. How do you feel about this one? All right. So we got a no yeet on that one. All right. And then we're going to have Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargill, my bad, versus Damage Control, which will be consisted of Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane in a six pack tag match. How do we feel about that one? All right. We got night one done. We're going into night two for this. Some things in night one might affect it. I'll give you an extra 10 seconds if you need to explain it. Going into it, it's already been listed that for night two, the undisputed WWE Universal title match, Roman Reigns, the current reigning defending champion versus Cody Rhodes. How do we feel about that? And how does the night one match affect this night two match? What do you see? It is. I mean, I'll probably cry a little bit myself too because I do want to see Cody hold it. I know he's wanting to do this for his dad. Love you, Dusty. You're always the best. Uh, Going into the next match, though, WWE World Heavyweight Title match: Seth Rollins, current champion, versus Drew McIntyre. I want to add to this for everyone at home. We know that there's a lot of people lurking around this, and we know a certain CM Punk was definitely saying some things too. How do you feel about this match, and what do you see happening, especially with CM Punk lurking around too? Do you? Yeah, you know what? I'll throw that question in there. Do you see Damian Priest going for that championship belt, or does he take the risk and go and take it off Cody if he wins, or Roman Reigns? How do you feel? What would you do in that situation? Hopefully, we will see Seth Rollins did it before. Do we see another heist of the century? We'll see with that. Going into the WWE United States triple threat match on night two, Logan Paul, the current United States Championship, versus Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. Wow. And then as we go in from there, we're going into the WWE Women's Title match. A lot for this women's title match. You have Io Sky, current champion, versus Bailey. Bailey, who started Damage Control, has been, in better words, betrayed by Damage Control. How do you feel about this? A little bit of a hot take, but I'm put you on the spot of it. Do you feel like WWE's kind of dropped the ball a little bit on this match and building the story up going into WrestleMania? I know a lot of people have said it feels kind of hidden behind everything else. How do you feel about it? Yeah, it does feel like this match kind of got the short end of the stick on it. I want to kind of add it because Bailey and Io are both amazing performers, and you never want to see a match get kind of pushed in the back. You never want to see that happen. And if Jade does end up doing something like that, I'm hoping that they do a better job of kind of pushing that spotlight more on that so that way it doesn't get lost. But as we go into the last two matches that well, I think I have the order wrong, but regardless of that, LA Knight versus AJ Styles. Yeah. How do we feel about this one? Yeah, I know it's difficult. It's hard. And then last, we have a Philadelphia street fight, Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament. I'm feeling like this is kind of pre-showy for the most part, but how do we feel about this match? Yeah, I guess let me ask this to you as we'll kind of call this the last kind of final stuff that we'll talk about. The Hurt Business was probably one of my favorite stables that was during the pandemic era. And I was very upset when they did decide to break that up completely. And the other thing too with Karrion Kross is he had a lot of momentum coming out of NXT and even on the indie scene. And we kind of get him into Vince's hands during the pandemic, and we got him wearing weird helmets and coming out with weird. Yeah, how do you? Let me ask this: what have you liked so far of the Triple H era that you didn't like that you saw in the Vince McMahon era? That'll be my final question here for you tonight. Yeah, and I agree with that too. I think in a lot of ways, and I'm not trying to be ageist or anything like that. I feel like you have a guy who, a lot of his storylines, a lot of stuff that he did made sense during the time period that he was running things. I mean, the Attitude Era is the Attitude Era. There's so much from the Attitude Era that I love, and you cannot do here. Another thing too for anyone watching, if you ever have a chance to listen to it, you definitely need to listen to the Deadlock podcast. I love those guys more than anything. They do these awesome retro syncs where they watch old WWF, they watch old WCW, and they kind of review those shows. Yeah, you definitely cannot do that now. And gosh, you know what? I love talking to you, Don. And I got to pose this question too, is because everyone was talking about it with seeing Cody bleed live on TV on Raw from Rock attacking him. Do you feel like we've entered into a new era of the Attitude Era? And do you see Triple H bringing something like that back? Yeah, I completely 100% agree with that. When you see wrestlers take that moment and they are representing themselves, I understand you always have that one producer, you have that one writer sitting on the side, making sure to check them on stuff, make sure they're not going too crazy. But, that's definitely what I would like to see as far as wrestling going forward. Don, it's been a great episode of the podcast. It has been great to talk to you today. We had a crazy event on Sunday. It was awesome to get your thoughts again away from it, taking a day or two to digest everything that's happened and even have some fun picking who we expect to win at WrestleMania. Uh, dude, it's I I mean, I've even got you some heat maybe going into A4 this week. I'm hoping you won't get into too much trouble, but we'll see. I hope not either. Don, it's been incredibly awesome to talk to you. And guys, as a special treat, because I confirmed it today, I get to tell you who the next guest next week for the pod is going to be. It is going to be none other than the true athlete himself. Troy Carter will be the next guest here on the pod. Look at Don. I see him all happy about it. I see that smile. We're gonna have more awesome guests here, and let's go ahead and we'll jump over to me. Don, do you have any last words that you want to say to everyone before I just jump over to me? All right, Don. Let's go ahead and we're going to jump over to me here. All right. What an awesome show. What a great guest. It's always happy when I get to see and talk with other people who have just as much passion as I do for this business, for seeing matches, for seeing what they expect out of it. This is a really great episode. Hopefully, we'll talk with Don again in the future after a couple other events and so on and so forth. And maybe possibly if he does become a writer's assistant at WWE or we see him behind the desk somewhere else, would love to see it. But I didn't want to point out yet again, reiterate this poster that is right next to my face right now. Suplex Day Mayo is going to be happening May 5th, 2024. It will be live here on kick.com/Action Show Studios. Make sure that you follow us on all social media. There are links and ways to click on our homepage here on the Kick page, so that way you can follow, stay up to date with matches coming up. We'll see what happens with the fallout of Keelan Cole being attacked by Blackjack Mac. We'll see what happens with Spectre attacking Parker Lee. If you guys want to see this, you want to see more of this action, make sure you tune into this, guys. And you know how you can tune into this? You know how you can stay up to date to this? Guess what? You can do that by simply just hitting a follow button. And if you really want to help us, if you really want to see us succeed, you should definitely hit that other little button right there in green on our page that says subscribe. Because simply for $4.99 a month, you can help us be able to continue to keep funding awesome content like this. We are Action Show Studios, but we are still a low budget studio, and we need as much help as we possibly can. We're doing this for zero to no money. We are doing this simply because we love this stuff. I love professional wrestling. This is everything to me. I enjoy watching matches. I enjoy talking to people about it. There's a reason I put my blood, sweat, and tears into making sure that this stuff looks good for you guys to watch on this channel. And I hope to see every single one of you watching at Suplex de Mayo. And if you can't subscribe, guess what? I got another option for you too. You want some Jitterless Blend, a great way to stay focused and energy? Well, then you should definitely get some W Energy. And if you use our code DWA for life exclamation point at w.gg. That's DWA, the letter DWA, the number 4, and life spelled LYFE exclamation point. You will get 10% off at checkout. And not only that, we'll also get a percentage of the profits as well too to help continue funding this channel. Guys, it's been another awesome show. Next week, you will see it go up on the socials. The True Athlete, Troy Carter, will be joining me here to talk about it. I'm sure we'll be talking about his Match Madness match, and we'll be just simply talking to him as well about his career goals in the professional wrestling independent world here in the Atlanta, Georgia scene and all over the place. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dakota Smith. Thank you for joining me for Ginger Pro Talk, and we will see you next time. Bye. All right, cool. Another great episode. Yeah, it was a great episode. We had some great, funny questions too. Love the wardrobe malfunction thing. And yeah, dude, you're great. Yeah, most of those picks that you made for WrestleMania were a lot of mine too. Man, I really want Cody Rhodes to finish the story. Gosh damn, they got to stop plugging that and then just teasing us the whole time. I would love to see that kind of heel turn. I know they haven't even kind of talked about that, but knowing Triple H, I could see him possibly being like, hey, if you want to do some underhanded tactics and start up your own little version of Bullet Club, seeing as we tried to get your Bullet Club before in WWE and failed to pull a contract out of our ass to do it, why don't you redo it again?